Welcome to Pottstown Borough Buzz. I'm your host, Cheryl Miller. Pottstown Borough Buzz is a new program that is being filmed by the PCTV network, and it will cover all things Pottstown Borough. In future segments, we will have Evan Brandt as a host, and he will be co-hosting with us for stories that he's covered in the past. Pottstown Borough Buzz will air monthly with a new theme. We'll show the episodes several times a week to give everybody an opportunity to see them. There's some important points that I want you to take away from our very first program of an animal theme. Spaying and neutering is the only humane, effective way to reduce the animal population. Save a paw, don't declaw. Animals are not disposable. Report your pet missing as soon as possible. Your dog just may be waiting for you desperately at the Borough Kennel at the water sewer treatment plant. Microchipping is not required, but is encouraged for your pets and community cats. Keep your pets updated on vaccines. The Pet Vet Mobile Clinic at the Tractor Supply store offers low-cost, high-quality vaccines and microchipping every Sunday from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and no appointment is necessary. Located at 799 State Street. If you see an animal being abused or mistreated, don't be silent, report it. You can report it to the Montgomery County SPCA and they will investigate. If you need immediate help, please contact the police. Pottstown offers great parks and trails for dog walking. Pottstown is an animal-friendly community. As we continue to grow and revitalize, I'd like to see a veterinarian or a pet store open up in our beautiful downtown Pottstown. We're out here today at the Pottstown Police Station with a key member of our animal committee, Chief Rick Drumheller, on this very hot, sweltering day. Thank you, Chief, for taking the time to meet with us today.
You're welcome.
Law enforcement has long ago recognized the link between animal cruelty, abuse, neglect, and family and community violence. And the leading advocate for adding animal cruelty to the data set on the uniform crime reports was the National Sheriff's Association. So in February of 2016, the FBI began requiring all agencies reporting to the uniform crime reports, which Pottstown is included in, to report animal cruelty offenses. Since police play such an important role in the enforcement of animal cruelty laws, what actions are taken by Pottstown Police when they witness cruelty to an animal taking place?
Well, you got to recognize that cruelty is a crime. It's not just a simple citation, and we handle it like we would handle any crime when we witness an offense and we would end up making an arrest.
What actions are taken by the Pottstown Police Department when allegations of animal cruelty are reported?
Well, Pottstown will use all its resources that we have available to us. We have the detective division, we have the community response division, and we also would reach out to the SPCA and any dog agency that would be able to assist us in an investigation.
Pottstown has a team of their very own canine officers that are invaluable to the Pottstown Police Department. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Sure. We have Jax, Taz, and Cato. Each one of them are assigned an officer, and they spend their time at home with that officer. Each dog is trained in patrol, which means they're trained in apprehension of the bad guy, but they're also trained in specifics. Two of them are trained in narcotics detection, one of them is trained in explosive detection.
And how many years have the three canines that you have now been servicing?
I believe Jax is the oldest at 6, and the other 2 are 5. So we brought them on when they were all like right at 1.
And who are the canine handlers?
Officer Jeff Portock, Officer Pete Yambrick, and the whole unit is supervised by Corporal Steve Hatfield.
And then he also has his own personal canine.
Correct.
2016 has been a great year of taking leaps and bounds for animal protections, and Pottstown canine officers have been recently recognized for their efforts. In May of 2016, a Pottstown resident who wished to remain anonymous donated funding to vested interest in canines so that all 3 of our canine officers could receive armored vests. Can you share your personal thoughts about that wonderful act of kindness?
I think it's a wonderful gesture that somebody cares enough about our police department and our canines to reach in their wallet and make sure that our dogs are protected.
In June, Taz was injured during a chase and apprehension of a wanted fugitive in Lower Pottsgrove Township. Can you share some of the details of the chase and how the injury occurred?
Sure. One of the things that I can share is that a dog's sense of smell is 200 times stronger than ours. And the bad guy had escaped into a wooded area which we couldn't see. We did surround it, and we knew we had him basically trapped in an area, but as a wanted felon, we brought in Canine Taz, and Taz searched for him and found him.
And he was injured, and how did his injury occur, the canine?
When Taz ran through the woods, he actually ran through a picker bush, and a picker bush grabbed his ear and cut his ear and gave him a deep laceration in his ear, which obviously caused him to bleed. And Officer Pottstown had to give Taz a little bit of first aid.
Is that the only medical treatment that he received?
No, he actually had to go to the vet, and when he went to the vet, he actually had to have his ear stitched up. So that was it was interesting, because one of the things that came out of that is it made media that the dog was injured, and I got an incredible outpouring of calls, people who wanted to pay the bill for Taz. So that didn't happen. We have actually the agency that was involved, Lower Pottsgrove, said that they would pay the bill. They wanted to pay the bill, and we allowed them to do it.
And I understand that Taz was back to work that very same day.
The very same day. Taz didn't really particularly like the injury, but Taz is a pretty tough dog.
I'd say. I don't even know that our human officers would be back on duty the very same day. Just this month, Gilbertsville Veterinarian Hospital donated first aid kits for all the Pottstown canines. What prompted this generous donation?
Well, Cheryl, when Taz got hurt, we found out that we have trauma kits and first aid kits and all kinds of kits, but all our kits are geared towards humans. We never actually entertained the thought of one of our dogs getting hurt. And what happened is when the dog got hurt and we took him over there to the vet, we recognized that we needed something more than just first aid patches for humans. We needed something specifically for canines.
So what's contained in each of these kits?
Well, there's a multitude of stuff, mostly all canine related. Like, I'm pretty sure, even though you might want to, there's a soft muzzle in there. We don't use soft muzzles on adults. We use them on the dogs to keep them from biting. But there's specific things that are specific for dogs, like intubation tubes and stuff like that, and in case the dog gets hurt. Plus, there's a whole bunch of auxiliary bandages that are canine friendly.
And because two of our dogs are actually drug-sniffing canines, Narcan is also included in these kits, correct?
Well, the generic name is naloxone, and basically what we do is we actually have them on all three kits in case they accidentally ingest an opioid.
Is there training that's required for the officers to go through with the canines to administer the first aid?
Well, we sent our canine officers to a training in New York that talked about first aid. However, the vet himself is actually instituting a first aid training program for the dogs, and for the canine handlers and the dogs, and he's going to walk them through every aspect of the kit and what to do, when to do it, and what to look for.
And is this training already scheduled?
Part of it has already occurred, but there's more training coming in the future.
Is there anything that you'd like to add?
Well, I'd like to add that the community outpouring when Taz got hurt was phenomenal. I mean, we received Facebook posts, we received emails, we received cards, we received an outpour of anything that we could do for your canine would be phenomenal. And of course, we took care of ourselves, but just to know that the community cared about that dog that much, it kind of really made me feel good.
So again, thank you, Chief, for meeting with us this afternoon. And on behalf of the Pottstown community, I want to thank you for everything that you do to serve and protect us.
Thank you, Cheryl. Take care.
And before we sign off, I'd like to note that Mr. Evan Brandt of the Mercury Reporter is out with us here this afternoon. And Mr. Brandt has agreed in future segments to do some co-hosting with me. And if you follow along, we're headed down to the Bark Park to go visit and tour our beautiful Bark Park in Pottstown Memorial Park. We're out here at Pottstown Memorial Park at the Bark Park with Pottstown Parks and Recreation Director, Michael Lenhart. Michael, can you tell me a little bit about the park and how it began established?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Cheryl. So we're in Pottstown Memorial Park. That's one of our biggest parks here in Pottstown. It's a 78-acre park here on the the west end of town. And Bark Park is located at the back of Memorial Park. It's a fenced-in area where members can sign up to have their dogs run free. It was established within the last 10 years, but more importantly, in the last 2 or 3 years, we've really decided to give some new attention to the Bark Park and how we operate it and how we can make it something that can be regularly improved through the membership dues.
What was the thought process behind this very remote location in the park?
It was just an opportune space to begin with because in order to put the Bark Park in, you have to have a certain amount of open space, obviously, and there's not many parks in the Pottstown system that'll accommodate that space. A lot of our parks are smaller parks, pocket parks. So Memorial Park presented the best opportunity to use space that was available. It just so happened to be back here, but it is also nice to have this sort of remote location. You don't have the traffic running past, you don't have a lot of noise. It's just a sanctuary for dogs and dog owners.
And what's unique about Pottstown's Bark Park is it is by membership only.
That is correct. So what we've done is to change the membership model. So you have a $15 fee for your first time through, and then every year after that it's a $10 fee, but it's assessed annually. And what we do is we take that money, we have a special line item for it so we know precisely how much the Bark Park is earning, and then we use a corresponding amount for improvements each year. So this year what we did with our membership fees, we added a water hydrant so that we have drinking water for the dogs. It doesn't sound like the most fancy thing in the world, but I can tell you it is rather difficult to bring something in. The water source is pretty far in terms of distance, so it is a lot of work and money to get something like that out to the Bark Park, but it corresponded fairly well to what the dues were for that year, so we're happy to be able to add that this year. Something we'd like to see developed in the future might be a more fancy installation there. So a dog and person drinking fountain. They make these precisely for dog parks with a up-high drinking spot for the people and then a down low for the dogs. Now those are always a little expensive. It's the kind of thing that we might look for a donation from some charitable members might be interested in something like that. And then further developments for the future that are a little closer at hand we'd like to see because they run a little less in terms of cost. Might be an extension or expansion of the Bark Park so that we can have a large dog and a small dog area. And that's going to increase the capacity that we can run through at any given time because we'll have those two spaces. But it's also going to be a nice addition because each dog of their own size will be a little more comfortable with what's available because you do have big dogs and little dogs, and most dogs around here play nice, but you always do have to make sure you give them what their expectations are.
Tell us a little bit about this play piece of equipment that we're standing in front of.
Well, this play piece of equipment is a part of a playground that was taken down some time ago. And the Parks and Rec crew looked at it when they were taking down the playground, that is, and said, well, this is still in very good shape. There's got to be something we can do with it. And one of them had the idea that it looks a lot like the kind of installations you can actually buy for a park like this for dog training. So we put it here, and it's been a pretty popular addition. We know that the dogs like this kind of thing. So one of the other things that I'll be looking into for further developments in this space is some of the installation pieces that you can buy specifically for dog parks. They refer to them as dog playgrounds sometimes, but also as training pieces, and those would be hoops and posts you can weave through all kinds of agility exercises for your canine friends.
So currently everybody has to be responsible for cleaning up after their pet while they're here. Does the Bark Park supply bags, doggy bags?
Yes, we do. That's part of what we do here is we have the dog cleanup stations, and then they do have the doggy bags there for your dog's poop. But most importantly is this is a self-policed facility, and that's part of the membership model. So when you pay for your membership, when you're a part of this piece, you're a part of the dog park community, and as such, it's important for you to communicate with your fellow Bark Park users, and that means reminding them of what their responsibilities are. and then informing the Parks and Recreation Department if you see regular violators. Again, that was part of the sort of membership model, is that you are invested in the space as a paying member. So as an invested member, you're going to self-police. You're going to let folks know when they are not following the rules, and if they are not receptive to that, then you inform Pottstown Parks and Recreation, and we follow through from there. Folks that are not observing the rules of the park are, of course, their memberships are terminated after a certain number of warnings, depending on what the incident may or may not be. It's not something we've had to do yet. It's not something that concerns us regularly, that is incidents. The membership model, again, encourages folks to engage in a certain amount of responsibility from the outset, but it's something that we monitor.
What are some of the other requirements for membership?
Well, we require up-to-date vaccinations, and that would be for distemper and rabies. Those are the two important ones. That's part of the regular membership process, is that you'll fill out a new form every year, and that new form will include requests for copies of your vaccination certificates. That way, again, we can make sure everybody's safe and healthy in here. We can do our due diligence with respect to making sure the folks we allow into the Bark Park belong here. So every time you complete your annual membership, turn in your old key, get your new one, and pay your membership, we're checking your vaccination records at the time. That's the most important piece right there. And of course, to have a current registration, we keep copies of that also.
Registration being dog license?
That's correct, yes. And then, of course, we only allow up to 4 canines per member, and that would be it. So you can't come in here with a whole pack of dogs, and that is another thing we monitor as we collect the canines' information each year when we fill out those forms or have those forms filled out.
How big is this space now?
Oh, this space here is about, let's see, that would be, it's just about an acre, a little short. When we have an opportunity to expand, we hope to be able to go to about 1 3/4 acres, but won't have space to move much beyond that because of the proximity to the other features here, such as Trilogy BMX and Manatawny Creek.
I think it's very important to note how the entryway is, and so you have the double gate so that when somebody enters in, the dogs don't charge out that are currently in the park.
That's right, that's the unleashing area. So of course the ordinance states you must have your dog on a leash in these spaces, in these public spaces. So you bring your leashed dog into this gated area, then you can unleash them and let them out into the running free area. Also gives you a chance to assess the other dogs that are in the park. If you see a dog that looks like, maybe too big for your little dog, you have some concern about that, that gives you an opportunity to maybe talk to the owner and say, is your dog friendly, or does your dog play with other dogs well? Is your dog going to be a good companion for mine? Because that's an important part of pet ownership, is knowing what your dog's expectations and capabilities are, and communicating that to other dog owners, and that is a sort of community vibe that's built around here. We know which dogs play well together and which ones maybe, it's not that they don't play well, it's just that they like a little more solitary time. So those owners can communicate that to one another. One of the pieces we'd like to do in the unleashing area in the next couple years is use some permeable paving or some grass pavers to sort of cut down on the mushiness of the ground there, because when we get a lot of rain in this area, especially the unleashing area, it can get a little soggy. So that's something we'd like to add. Again, future developments for the park.
Is there a limit to the amount of members that you'll allow? I know 4 dogs per household, but how many members could actually join the Bark Park?
What we have estimated as appropriate based on usage we've seen is between 100 and 125 given the space we have, and that's because we've found that not everybody's in here at once or at the same time. Dog owners really are using this evenly across the day. There's our regular morning visitors, our regular midday visitors, our regular evening visitors, weekends versus weekdays. We have a broad spectrum of folks that are using this space.
And I'm happy to see that we have some visitors today.
Yep, yes we do. Yeah.
How many members do you currently have?
We currently have 93 members. Looking to hopefully expand that to the next year. We'd like 100 as a nice round number. That gives us the right amount of income to develop the place and still have good flow, good usage, not overcrowded. 100 is a good rule of thumb. 100 would be what we'd love to have.
So are there sponsorship opportunities available for area businesses?
Yes, there are. They can contact me in the Parks and Recreation Department. That's at 610-970-6618. You can give us a call, we can talk, but there are opportunities to help with improvements around the Bark Park. There's always something that can be done, whether it be turf management. We do work on the lawns here every so often to make sure that they're growing full, make sure they're aerated and reseeded when possible and when necessary. Planting trees, maintaining the fence, expanding the fence at some point. All of these things are something that business might take upon themselves, and we'll recognize those businesses here on the fence and on the sign.
And what does the borough do to promote the Bark Park?
Well, you know, we have the signs out front. Of course, it's listed on our website. That's pottstown.org under the Pottstown Parks and Recreation tab, listed as one of our destination parks. But then we also have some events that take place here in the park that highlight pets in the park in general. There's the Pottstown Pet Fair, which is run every September. It's affiliated with the Pottstown Parks and Recreation Foundation Incorporated, which is a separate 501c3 here in town. It's actually not associated with the department in any way, just has a name similar to ours. But that's an event that is run in the park. It brings a lot of attention to both Memorial Park, to pet owners, pet rescues, but also back here to the Bark Park. Folks inevitably find out about it when they come to visit. And then of course there's always every spring the Relay Bark for Life. That's another one that really brings attention to Memorial Park, into pet ownership here, and the Bark Park in general. And then of course there's Bark Park applications displayed prominently in the offices for Parks and Rec at 100 East High Street.
Well, this is fantastic, Michael, and I thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today. And I look forward to an expansion and a creative process in the future for the Bark Park.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, we're out here in beautiful Pottstown Memorial Park, meeting with Bill Sharon, one of the co-founders of the Pottstown Pet Fair. Bill, can you tell us about the Pottstown Pet Fair and how it originated?
It started 6 years ago, actually in front of Borough Hall. We had about 40 vendors and about 400 people. It was an idea. There are so many things going on in Pottstown. What about something for animals? So at the last minute, we threw that event together. The following year, it got a little bit bigger. And then I said, why don't we go down to the park and use the park? We have endless space down here. And this year, we are now up to, as of 2 o'clock this afternoon, 64 vendors for this pet fair. Last year, I think we had 68, and the firemen that did the parking suggested that there was between 4,000 and 5,000 people attending that day. It didn't look like that many people because the event is spread out over the whole park. We didn't have a congested area. This turned out to be the biggest free admittance pet fair in the state of Pennsylvania. We have it right here in Pottstown.
And this is your 6th annual event.
Right, 6. And each year it grows. We get more interesting events. We're going to have Native American storytelling. A group is coming from the Harrisburg area to do CPR training for small animals. Where we're standing at now is going to be a vaccine clinic. The American Humane Society is going to be here. Several cat and dog rescues, and a lot of pet businesses, the small mom and pops that make the natural food, that makes the gifts, veterinarians, the list goes on and on.
When is the schedule date for the pet fair?
September the 17th, down here at Memorial Park, and it starts around 9 o'clock in the morning. It's scheduled from 9 to 3 p.m.
So the group out of Harrisburg doing CPR classes is gaining a lot of attention, and some of the firefighters from the Phillies and the North End are signing up for classes, as well as myself. Can you tell us about the group from Harrisburg? Who are they?
They're Pet Emergency Education LLC. They can be found on Facebook under that. They come out and they do training. They actually train you to do CPR on small animals. It's a 3-hour course, and after the course is over, you become certified to do CPR training on small animals. They do offer large animals and exotic animals, but I thought the tone for this event would be better to have small animals, small cats, dogs, rabbits, animals of that nature.
Oh, good. And this is the flyer that you're holding for them now?
This is part of the flyer that we have.
So Pet Emergency Education LLC.
See, right.
And we can find them on Facebook and on the web?
Right.
Fantastic. And so this is one of your new things for this year. Do you have any other new and exciting things that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, we've offered an opportunity for the Native American community to come down this year and do storytelling. We've expanded on some of the businesses that will be here, the animal pet related businesses that will be here. It seems each year word is getting out more and more about this event, and it's something very positive for our town. The bottom line is we hope we can get some animals to be forever homes from this event. We did last year, and we're hoping this year also, and also educate people. Where we're standing will be a vaccine clinic, so if you want a rabies shot, or if you want a distemper, we'll have a veterinarian here to do that. I believe they're going to be here from 9 to 1. Blessing of the Animals will be an all-day event. We'll have a minister here. She comes every year, Sister Millicent, and this is her specialty, Blessing of Animals.
And the county office will be here administering dog licensing?
The county Treasury Department, the county Health Department, and the Pennsylvania Dog Warden will be here.
So Bill, you're known in the community as Bill the Cat Guy. So what is your true passion that started this pet fair? And you hope to accomplish getting some animals adopted, but you had a true love and passion for the animals when this began.
It was to find the forever homes for cat and dogs. My passion is cats, but I'm just as passionate dogs. And also to educate the public. Having a pet as part of your family involves a lot. It involves a lot of care. They care for you, you care for them, you give them attention, but also to bring a whole awareness of the animal world to Pottstown, and also put Pottstown on the map. There's something positive happening here. People say there's nothing to do. Well, there's a whole day event going on here, and it's focusing on animals. Last year I saw license plates from New York, Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, realizing they're only a couple hours away, but when you put it in perspective, they're coming to Pottstown to be here for a 6-hour event on animals. That speaks volumes in itself. We even had people one time sleep over, stayed overnight, came Friday night and spent a night at the motel so they could be here because of the distance. They were vendors, so it was a distance for them. And that's something positive.
And along with the reports of education, you'll have spay and neuter clinics available to give information on hand, and then hopefully the education on the dangers of declawing.
Right. You're going to find a lot of cat rescues, or like we are, cat naps. We're very adamantly opposed to declawing. That's like taking your fingertips and cutting each of the nails off. We're also going to be doing a food drive. Winter is coming up, and there's a lot of people in Pottstown that their budget doesn't quite stretch for food for their pets, or they're feeding colonies or a couple cats outside. So we also try to help them, and we also try to help different dog rescues when they run low. So we will be doing a cat and food drive here, and that'll be located at our information table.
And a lot of work goes into the logistics of the day in itself. Can you tell us a little bit about? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'm not a drinker, but I always think afterwards I'm going to be. I'm here at 6 o'clock in the morning. One year the police came down because I was here with a flashlight, and they're going like, "What is going on down, oh, it's you. You know, they knew who it was, and I was started at 6 o'clock in the morning. That morning, it's not like throwing an event together and saying, okay, come here. We have to assign tables, spots to people, fire police, firemen are coming to help parking. We're having people here to help unload the vendors, people at the end of the show to help them load up their stuff. So it's a lot of little logistics for this little event. The logistics is phenomenal what's involved in this. It's a rude awakening for me. It's not like putting a notice that we're going to do a pet fair, come on down. There's a lot involved in it.
Well, I'd have to say that it's more than just a little event when you're attracting 5,000 to 6,000 people.
Right.
Amount a year. So it's a fantastic event. We're happy to have it here at Pottstown Memorial Park. We're happy to have Bill Sharon as our organizer and very dedicated to the animals, and we thank you for the food drive that you do for animals in need and the homeless cats that we have that we're caring for as well. Bill, is there anything else you'd like to add?
That's it, except I expect to see you all here September 17th. Expect to spend a day here. Expect to learn a lot about animals and maybe take that one special cat or dog home.
Oh, and on a side note, we've actually had some community leaders in the borough of Pottstown have adopted animals because of your pet fair that have filled out applications. Jim Durr from the Environmental Committee, and also James Smale heads up the fire police. He adopted thanks to the wonderful event that you bring here every year.
And Donna, that we're retired from the codes department, she adopted last year. She fell in love with, I think it was a little Chihuahua, and now she has that with her cats.
Well, wonderful. Thank you very much. September 17th, folks, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. right here in Pottstown Memorial Park. We are in lovely Smith Family Plaza outside of Borough Hall, and we're sitting here this afternoon talking to Dan Falcone, creator of the Pottstown Petstown Facebook page. Dan, what is Pottstown Petstown?
Pottstown Petstown is a place where the local pet community can go for local news and to look up events or anything like that that has to do with pet-related things in Pottstown.
Pet-related, I'm sorry?
Pet-related events in Pottstown.
Events, thank you. How did you come up with the idea?
Last year, my company, A&B Management, was involved with the pet rescue event in the spring right here at Smith Plaza, and I needed a way to get that information out to the local community. So we created Pottstown Petstown.
Are you passionate about animals?
Yeah, actually I am.
And why?
I kind of grew up with cats in the house. Our first family pet, her name was Chicklet, was actually a rescue from Philadelphia, from the waterfront area. My cousin brought the cat home, and we adopted her. So I've kind of grown up around animals most of my life.
Do you have a goal or a mission? What do you hope to accomplish with the page?
You know, I'd really like to see it continue to grow and become more of a vehicle for the local community as organizations, the pet organizations, to be able to use it to, announce their events, to help raise awareness for their issues and causes.
And where do you get your page content from?
Mostly from the internet. I do have people that contribute to me as well, but friends that I know are they have their own causes, and they have their own organizations, that kind of thing, and they'll send me stuff all the time.
So how much time do you spend daily updating and researching for the page?
I'm on the internet quite frequently during the day and checking email for just new content.
What are some of the events that you've participated in? You had mentioned the Pet Rescue Day. What are some of the other events that you took part in?
Last summer, we also were part of the Pottstown Pet Fair down at Memorial Park, and also the Pottstown Brew Fest. And early this year, we had the Pottstown Firkin Fest.
And what current events are you participating in?
Actually, we're helping to promote the Pottstown Brew Fest in October.
Where do you see Pottstown Petstown in the future? What are your long-term goals?
Long-term, I'd really like to see the page continue to be a vehicle for local organizations to be able to announce their events, promote, raise awareness, and just make Pottstown much more pet-friendly than it already is.
And how can these organizations, groups, causes, how can they contact you?
They can reach me at pottstown@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this edition of Pottstown Borough Buzz, and we'll be seeing you next time on the PCTV network.